In 5 years, I think we're going to open a social media app. The algorithm will use AI to generate reels for us based on personalities that we like. I open my Instagram app, and there is an AI-generated character who talks about AI apps I should use.
Marina Mogilko, a Russian entrepreneur and YouTube creator, known for founding LinguaTrip and Fluent Express.
For anybody who's listening and they're starting off their journey when it comes to creating their own content or making videos, it is going to be a painful process to begin with.
It's all about working with data now and being very intentional with every single video.
With over 10 million subscribers across her YouTube channels, she shares educational content about language learning, entrepreneurship, and her experiences in Silicon Valley.
It doesn't matter if it has 10 million views if those views came 6 years ago, because the landscape has changed.
If anyone who's trying to get this much done, getting the right team in place is essential. AI.
It's never done properly. That's the thing. I think when it's going to happen, like, we're going to have a lot of protests. People are going to lose jobs.
For those people who are also looking to start a business, what are the key steps which you have taken to kind of plan this out to get this up and running?
So first of all,
Marina, thank you very much for joining me. I don't know whether to introduce this podcast by saying Guten Tag, Buongiorno.
Guten Tag. Sehr angenehm.
How many languages do you actually speak?
I speak Russian, English, German, and I'm learning Italian, but it's like a slow process because
is there any specific reason why you've chosen those languages?
So Russian, I was born in Russia. English, it's the language that I guess everyone has to speak in the modern world. German, I had a choice of French or German at school. And my mom was like, oh, Germany has free education. So learn German so you can go there and get your whatever scholarship and study there for free. So I learned German. And when I was doing my bachelor's degree, I actually got a scholarship to go to Germany, study mathematics. And I went there for a semester. Came back. And then Italian, I just love this language.
It's very nice on the ears when you hear them speak it.
The most beautiful.
French and Italian, I think, sound the best.
I really want to start learning French as well. But yeah, it's mostly hobby now. English is like a necessity. German was a necessity, and the other languages for me right now are hobbies.
So you grew up in Russia?
Yeah.
And what's it, when you're there, are you forced to learn another language, or do they not care?
Well, you're kind of are forced. I think every school, so my school was specializing in learning English, so we had English every single day for an hour, starting first grade.
Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful. It's the best.
Okay. And then did you have any drive to learn other languages, or you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When I was growing up, my granddad was like, when I was 4 years old, he told me, like, if you want to be successful in your life, you have to learn English.
Yeah.
And I grew up with this thought that I have to be proficient in English in order to do things in life, which turned out to be true.
Yeah. Well, for me, in the education system in the UK, I don't know if it's the same for all schools, but it was mandatory to learn French and German. We did 1 year of that, maybe 2 years. And then after, we had a choice of whether we wanted to continue learning one of those languages, or maybe even to add a new one, which was Spanish. For some reason, I decided to continue with German. And I think that was because I just liked the teacher. But if I'd gone back, I would have much preferred to have done at least 1 year of Spanish, because if I could learn one other language and be fluent in it, it would 100% be Spanish.
Bigger audience on YouTube, right?
Well, there's that, but then I spend a lot of time in Spain, and I just feel like of all the places I go to, and the people I meet, speaking Spanish would help me the most.
Yeah.
It would make things a lot more convenient.
Yeah, that makes sense. But also with like online content with AI, I wonder in 5 years if we would have a completely different conversation. Like, oh, you don't really need to be fluent in any language. We'll see what's going to happen. Yeah,
because you have, I don't know how many official channels you actually have.
I have a lot in different languages.
Because there was one I saw which was Arabic.
Yes. That one took off really
And then I thought,
fast.
hang on, you speak Arabic as well? But then
No, we did AI. Okay. Yeah, we actually stopped those channels a couple of weeks ago just because YouTube introduced the auto-dubbing feature. So now people from Dubai, people from Spain can watch my videos in their language on my official channels, like on my main channels. We started those, like Arabic, Spanish. I have a good following on Bilibili in China. Japanese.
What's it, Bilibili?
Bilibili is like Chinese YouTube.
Okay, yeah.
So we started those a couple of years ago, like 3 years ago, because there was no auto-dubbing feature on YouTube. Now we have the auto-dubbing feature, and just everything is processed automatically.
Yeah. So you've got your, it looks like a vlogging channel, which you have, which is in Russian speaking. And then you have your Lingua Marina, which is the primarily educating people how to speak English and write English.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the Silicon Valley Girl, which is more content educating people on business. Investing and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So you do a lot.
Yeah.
I don't even know how are you even managing to do all of this?
The team. I have a team.
You have a solid team.
Yeah.
How big's the team?
45.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot.
Nice. So what made you want to leave Russia and go to the US, in particular Silicon Valley?
So it was, so I was 25 when we moved to Silicon Valley, and I've always had this dream of studying abroad. So I started my company when I was 21. We started a company helping people study abroad. But it was extremely expensive. Like if you want to go to the UK as a foreign student, it's like thousands and thousands of pounds and dollars. Same with the US. And then when I was 23, I realized there are actually full ride scholarships. I can go and do my MBA for free. So I started that application, but we also started digitizing what we were doing in our offline business, sending people abroad. We started building an online platform, and we started applying to accelerators in Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. So the goal was to make myself and us, my husband and I, we do business together, make us international so we can build an international company. And there were two ways to do that, either through an accelerator or me getting an MBA somewhere in the US. Mm-hmm. That was the goal. And then everything worked out with an MBA. I got accepted on a full ride scholarship, but also everything worked out with an accelerator. And so we had a choice. An accelerator offered money, investment, and also a lot of connections. And that meant I get to focus on my business right away. So I moved to Silicon Valley in 2015 and joined the accelerator called 500 Startups.
Okay. So what was the first business?
It's still running. It's called LinguaTrip. So the original idea was a study abroad booking platform. You could book like 2 weeks in Spain to learn Spanish. Then we had to kind of pivot during COVID because nobody traveled, and we launched the online part. And it mostly focuses on teaching people English and preparing them for standardized tests like TOEFL and GMAT, the tests that you need to take in order to get education abroad. So that's what it's doing right now.
So talk to me about the one where you could actually book a trip, and what would it consist of? For example, you said that if you wanted to go to Spain, is it like a foreign exchange program? Like what's the idea behind that?
Not the exchange, you pay for it. In exchange, you go and then somebody comes, right?
Okay.
Well, that was a paid program, so you would pay like on average like $1,000 to go to Spain, and you will stay with a local family and go to a local language school, immerse yourself in a language, come back home.
That's cool. Does this still exist or?
No, unfortunately, we had to, after COVID, the recovery was so slow, so we made a business decision to just shut it down. We still can help you with that, but we shut down that part of website, which makes me really sad because that was my passion. But because overall it's a declining market, unfortunately, with AI and online education, you just have to, let things go in your business.
I had I guess the only experience I had that was like that was going on a rugby tour to Argentina and Chile. And we stayed with the families of the opposing rugby team. So I got to stay with a load of families in Chile and Argentina. Nice. So that was an interesting experience, particularly because some of the families were very poor. And then some of the families were also very wealthy as well. So I got to see what life was like.
You get to see other cultures. Yeah. And it's the experience that shapes you, and it really changes the trajectory of your life, because it happened to me so many times. I went to England, I went to Germany to do those not exchange, but like study abroad programs. And they made me who I am. So I really wanted to share that experience with as many people as possible. That's why we started the company.
Yeah. Is there any myths, or what do you think is the biggest myth when it comes to learning a new language that puts people off?
That you won't be able to master it. Like if you learn a language, like the way I'm learning Italian is just for fun. I can do business in Italian. And I feel like a lot of people, when they think about learning a language, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to learn it, but I'm not going to be able to speak it. And so they don't see the real goal that's going to be life-changing for them. If you don't speak English and you learn to speak it and you're able to business in it, that changes your whole thing, right? If you can do content in English, if you can speak at conferences, meet people. So learning a language, it has to be a very ambitious goal, which is hard to achieve because you have to become fluent. But if you do become fluent, then your whole life changes. Especially with languages like English, or if you're in Dubai, Arabic, Chinese,
Yeah.
cultures that don't learn the language necessarily, but if you learn their language, you get access to a lot more things.
Yeah. Today, what do you think are the most powerful languages?
English, Chinese, Spanish maybe, but
So
I would say
Chinese.
these. Well, yeah, 100%.
So it's worth it. I was thinking this, like what would my life be like if I was fluent in Mandarin, right? Yeah. If I could speak Chinese, I would just go to China and just like take over and just be like the #1 fitness guy in China.
Yeah.
Because I know there's fitness people in China, but I don't think the market is quite like especially in America and the UK, it's quite saturated with personal trainers and fitness influencers.
Yeah.
But in China, I think it's an untapped market. But yeah, the idea of trying to learn that seems very daunting. I think I would like to start off with Spanish first.
Yeah. See, and then you're like, oh, okay, but people in Spain understand me, and still my whole business is in English. So that's why if you don't see the game changer in learning a language, then people give up easily.
Yeah.
I like for myself, I realized I either speak English like a native speaker or I don't at all, because there's nothing in the middle. If I struggle to interact with native speakers, like why am I even learning it then?
Yeah. What is let's say, for example, I want to learn Spanish. What is the quickest way to do that? Or is there no quick way?
Well, immerse yourself. If you go there and you stay with a local family and you cut your social media consumption in English, then if you immerse yourself in Spanish, the progress is going to be amazing. My first study abroad trip when I was 14. So there was no Instagram, no Facebook. I could only call my parents. I think Skype was available back then, but I called them for like 10 minutes once a week.
Yeah.
The rest of the time I only used English. And this is when my progress happened. So that's the only way.
Okay. So it looks like I'm going to have to live with some Spanish people for a bit. Or they go and live with me. You teach people how to improve their ability to communicate in the English language and to almost like remove any accent which they might have?
I'm trying to communicate what helped me, because I'm not necessarily like a teacher who follows a specific method. I'm someone who came to the US with no American accent, realized that I want to be more like American people because I want to do business with them. And I just started listening, started copying people. And
so you've forced yourself to have the American accent.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you have was it a Russian accent before?
I actually had a slightly British accent because I used to go to the UK a lot in those programs. And then I was like, okay, no, I want to sound American now because we're in Silicon Valley. Let's try and see what I can do.
Yeah, because I have, I mean, some of my team and a lot of my friends, English is not their native language, but they want to create content and sell their services or their product to English-speaking people. But one of the barriers which I think they have is just having this smooth clarity of being able to communicate.
Yeah, because it adds up, right?
Yeah.
Of course, if you're a professional, like my husband came to the US speaking almost zero English. It was so hard for him. But then he's a race driver, and he started talking about racing on YouTube with a horrible accent and a lot of mistakes. People still watch because he's such a cool professional. But then if you want to sell something, like if you're raising money for your startup and you're talking to investors, like being Russian is already kind of tricky.
Yeah.
And also if you don't speak English and have a horrible accent and don't understand what's going on, like it all adds up. It's part of the game. So mastering it was important for me to like lower the barriers between me and other people.
Yeah. Okay. So talk to me a little bit about the growth of this first venture of yours. How did you find that growing it?
LinguaTrip?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we started 2011. 2013, we started building the platform. 2015, we closed our round from 500 startups and also a couple of angels. Then it started growing like crazy. We started hiring people. I think at some point we were like a team of 80 people. it was our first time hiring so many people, so we made a lot of bad mistakes. And this is why I think our company never reached like $1 billion valuation, which was initially our goal, like to build a huge company. But because we were hiring like school kids to manage things, just because we thought, we're smart enough to hire cheaper, more affordable talent versus like going for people who have more experience. But basically, we made a lot of mistakes. We're 25, first company, but it was a great experience. And then COVID changed the trajectory. And I also started my channel. I started my first channel in 2014, and it started taking off 2017, 2018. So 2018, I started Silicon Valley Girl. So this is when I decided to focus on my media side. Mostly, my husband is still the CEO of LinguaTrip, and it's still growing with online courses, but not as fast as it used to grow back then.
So you launched this before you had a presence on social media?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was wondering, like, would you still have been able to grow this business without the funding which you had? Like if you tried to do it all organically?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there was a product market fit, definitely. Funding just helped us move the team to the US.
Okay.
Because we were back in Russia, it was a lot cheaper to do everything. But like then I started my channel, so we got additional funding. Being in the US, building an international company, we're able to get clients from Brazil, Mexico, like all of those countries, because then you have like international payment processor. And again, it's 2015, it's different. It's not like now you can just use Stripe and it's connected in like 15 seconds. It used to be different back then. So yeah.
So when you were hiring people, what have you learned from that process, and what do you look for now when you're hiring new talent to work
First
for you?
of all, I learned that I'm bad at hiring. So now I have a COO who does all the hiring. And I tell her like, hey, I need this and that person. Ideally, they need to have experience working with similar companies. And I give her a list of companies who I look up to. Like if we're hiring like a marketing manager or like a salesperson, I want them to have certain experience with certain companies, like to be on the certain level already, have certain connections. Then she hires them, she interviews them, she gives me 2 or 3 people she likes. I interview them, that's the last part. And then normally we start working with either 1 or 2 people. And then the first 2 weeks I make the final decision.
You interview them in person?
Yeah, through Zoom, yeah. Because all of our team is remote.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing which, what I've learned from hiring people is I want to hire people who are most passionate about the thing that they do and actually genuinely want to work for me. And they've actually been somebody they've been a fan of my work for a while. Because I found that those people who they're a fan of my work, they know what I'm about, what my personality is like, and they genuinely like me and they want the best for me.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's one of the perks of building a personal brand and having an online presence.
That's always a bonus. Yeah. For me, it's like if they know us, if they've been following me for a while. And when we hire, we always post on my Instagram or through like an email list. And most of the times people know me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you a natural on camera when you first started creating content?
No. Oh my God. There are so many cuts and edits.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. It comes with time.
Yeah. I think even for me, it was something which I put off for years because I just hated the idea of being on camera. But I knew that if I wanted to get to a certain point in my career and the goal which I'd set for myself, it's something which I just needed to be better at. So you have to force yourself to learn.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's just
Such
repetition.
An inevitable skill these days. Like if you aren't online, like everything is happening on our phones. I went to Tokyo, everyone is on their phones. Like it's better here, but I guess in Asian country, like what I saw in Tokyo was like everyone.
Yeah, everyone's walking around the street. I went there last March for the first time, and it was an incredible trip.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. The best food ever.
Yeah.
I want to go back.
Was that a business trip or just?
Yeah. It was my parents live in Thailand. My dad had a birthday. I booked him a restaurant and I had a crazy thought. What if he comes to the restaurant and I'm there? So I booked myself a flight from LA to Bangkok 36 hours in Bangkok back to San Francisco. And the layover was in Tokyo for 7 hours. And of course, I spent 4 hours in Tokyo just filming content and trying all the different foods that I could try there. And we made so much content in those 4 hours. People thought I spent like 2 weeks there, but it was like filming.
Yeah.
The best trip.
What does a typical day look like for you? Is it you spend the majority of the time creating some form of content?
Yeah. Well, so in the morning, it's kids, either drop off or like helping them get ready for school. And then I have maybe 6 hours of work. So emails, chats, but then maybe 2 or 3 hours of filming. And then that's it. Then I have to pick up my daughter from school and do drop-offs and do the driver thing.
So you got a pretty efficient system in place.
I have to, yeah.
Do you script a lot of your videos, or you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I started like a year ago. I learned what a teleprompter was.
Oh,
Because before that, I couldn't, because I discovered that there were teleprompters that listen to what you're saying and they follow your pace.
Okay.
Because AI was ready to do that. This is when I started using teleprompters, because I can't use a teleprompter that has a set pace and it just goes and goes. Because my thing is like, I have something on the teleprompter, but then I have another brilliant thought. So I get off the script and I start saying something. So it's really hard when everything is scripted. But now I have a script, I have a teleprompter, but I try to add something from myself every minute or so. Yeah. But it's great when it stops.
It's definitely a skill to read off a teleprompter, because
it is.
For my entire journey on YouTube, I improvise and I wing it. I have some notes, bullet points to make sure that I get everything across that I need to say. But I'm not good at remembering long pieces of text. Yeah. I feel like, I don't know whether that's a skill that needs to be developed or people are just naturally good at it. They just have, like photographic memory. But it came a point where I needed to say some ads. And the script for the ads, I was like, I am not going to remember this. So I bought a teleprompter, and I remember I set it up, and I played it. And then I tried to read it and then look at the camera, read it, look at the camera. And I watched it back. I was like literally a robot. No personality, just wasn't even me. And I realized to actually read off a teleprompter requires quite a lot of skill.
Yeah.
And those people who have, built their career, or they have a career purely off reading teleprompters, when it comes to them doing the opposite, where they have to just freestyle it, in front of a camera, they can't do that.
Yeah, I think it has to be a mix. So when you have an ad script, and I work with companies like financial companies, they require word by word.
Yeah.
And when I did like a year ago, I had this brand deal where I had to do word by word, and it took me 2 hours because I wasn't using a teleprompter, but I was like, I just can't. Like, it was so hard. Now it takes me 2 minutes.
Okay.
Because I've learned how to use the teleprompter. So it speeds things up. Also, there is a cool feature on CapCut, because I have a lot of Instagram brand deals as well, where I need to read word by word. And CapCut does that. So you're just facing your camera. It's recording you, but you also see the text.
Okay.
And then you learn how to do it. You learn how to pause. You learn how to, do things that make you look more natural.
Yeah.
And it goes a lot smoother.
I feel like it should be a mandatory skill which they teach you in school when you're younger, just how to speak and present yourself.
Oh yeah,
it would be so useful.
Absolutely.
Although maybe that would mean there's even more competition, so maybe I don't want that. But for anybody who's listening and they're starting off their journey when it comes to creating their own content or making videos, it is going to be a painful process to begin with. And even to this day, I don't know if you experience this as well, but for me, if I can't get something out the way I want to say it, it is very frustrating. And then you do it again, it doesn't work out. And then you start to get really frustrated with yourself.
Yes.
And you just want to give up or literally throw the camera across the room. So don't worry if you feel like that as well. It's completely normal.
And you're still going to feel that 10 years later.
Yeah.
Still happens to me. I want to re-record things, I re-record them. Then when I get the perfect shot, turns out the mic was off. And then I do it for the third time. And then my kids come back home and they start screaming at the camera, and that's it.
Yeah.
Your day is done. Yeah. Happens all the
So what do you have, like a process which you go through just to calm yourself or to get yourself in the zone?
No, I just, let's just do it again, do it again, do it again.
Yeah.
It's okay, do it again. You have to do it today. Your team is waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess if you have deadlines, you have a schedule, you have
Yeah.
sponsors who are requiring the content.
And you have a team in different time zones.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have your videos ready by evening in California because your team in India is going to start editing in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, in a typical week, how many videos are going out across all the different platforms?
3 long form, 1 on each channel.
Yeah.
That's if the week is going well. Normally that's 3 videos, but sometimes because my Russian channel is most like vlogging, just connecting with Russian speaking audience, I'm a little less frequent on that channel. I can do like once in 2 weeks. It's mostly vlogs as well.
Which you're filming with a handheld camera or someone's filming you?
DJI Pocket
Okay, yeah.
3, which burned down this trip. So I'm filming everything with my iPhone, which is not the best. But yeah, so 3 long form and maybe 5 reels on Instagram and maybe 1 or 2 shorts, like dedicated shorts.
Yeah.
But shorts are like very slow for me these days compared to 2022 when they were like everywhere.
Yeah. Why do you think this is the thing with social media, it's so difficult to kind of keep up with all the changes they keep making?
Yeah, it's like, and there's always a new platform. And X just announced they're gonna push podcasts. So I'm like, okay, we need to start X.
And TikTok is now officially going to be banned in America.
Is the news?
I think that was announced.
It just started growing there again. Okay, never mind. But yeah, LinkedIn is another cool platform that's working for us. Yeah, it's.
But I don't understand how this is going to work. So they're not going to have TikTok operate in the US. But does that mean if you just go on a VPN, you can still?
Yeah, but then you lose all the audience. So, well, it depends. Like there are so many social media platforms that are banned in Russia, and people are still using them through VPN.
Yeah.
But TikTok is banned in India, but I think people are still using it.
Yeah.
Same with, well, China is interesting because I don't have a lot of followers from China on YouTube. But once I post on platforms like Bilibili or Douyin, I think Douyin, like the Chinese TikTok, I get a lot of views. So I think those people don't have access to our social media platforms.
Can you, for those views which you get in different speaking countries like China, can you monetize that?
So we had a contract with Bilibili for a year, and it was a very generous contract, but it was only for a year. I think they stopped financing American creators at some stage.
But they approached you and said, "Hey, can you just make content and
we'll pay you per like 1,000 views, like a certain amount," which was a lot higher than my Google AdSense thing.
Content, what, to help people speak English?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a good year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've thought about it, but then wondered, like, is it worth the effort? Because if these platforms are going to pay me to create content, like, how can I monetize it? You know, I have like one of my fitness apps. It's like one of my most profitable things. It does very well. It's like everything you could possibly need about training, nutrition, fitness, training programs, everything. But it is primarily, well, I say primarily, it's all in English. So for somebody who does not speak English or can't even read English, like, how useful would something like that be?
I think this is not really a problem in 2025 because you can translate everything with AI, and it's going to be very natural. Like DeepL is a great translation app. The problem with China is that you need to have someone who's the CEO, who's Chinese, who's the CEO of your company, who's going to set up the sales funnel that looks completely different from what we're used to in the US or in Dubai here. Like they buy everything through WeChat, and like you have to grow a group there. It's a different sales process. We tried that and we were not successful.
Really?
Yeah. So we had to, like Bilibili, we had a link to a WeChat group, but you have to be there. You have to be like present.
What's WeChat is like WhatsApp?
But it's a lot more advanced.
But everybody pays.
Everything is on WeChat. Your courses, your purchases, your, I guess, Uber, like it's a what is it called? Super app.
Yeah.
That has everything in it.
Just like a monopoly over everything.
Yeah.
It's owned by the government.
It's a good question. I
Probably
think so. Everything is owned by the government. But yeah, so we were not, like we had this person who's like British but had a Chinese passport, so he's Chinese technically, and it's just if you're not there, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many companies that fail, like Uber failed in China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you done regarding AI to help you grow your business and just...
I'm speaking at a conference tomorrow about that.
Okay.
We're using so many things. My assistant is based in Indonesia, but she's trained to use every AI tool out there. So she understands American culture. She understands how to do research in the US, like everything. And she's in Indonesia, which means she's a lot cheaper than hiring someone in the US.
Mm-hmm.
We do all the research through Perplexity, ChatGPT, Opus Clip, Cuts are short form videos, translation, everything is done by AI. Yeah. Oh my God, so many things. Editing, like the script when you just video to text,
Mm-hmm.
and then you edit the text and your video is edited. It's like, Gamma app for, I can talk about it for hours. So Gamma app
This is good though, because
Yeah.
there's a lot I want to know, and my listeners no doubt will want to know as well. And I don't want to be that guy that gets left behind.
No, absolutely. So Lingua Marina, the channel where I speak about English or like getting ready for tests, we need a lot of visuals. Like, hey, we're doing idioms. We need an idiom on the screen. We need some kind of image. We need some kind of examples. You go to Gamma app and you say like, hey, create a presentation for a 25-minute class teaching people American idioms. Come up with examples for each idiom. Come up with an image that's going to represent the idiom to make it more memorable. And I don't know, I also like to dig into like etymology, where the idiom comes from. Tell me, what is the story behind this phrase? And it just does everything. Of course, you need to check because it comes up with things. We have a teacher who goes through everything that AI has generated. Sometimes it's an idiom that's outdated and no longer used, and they check everything. You don't need to edit. I sit down, I have my script, we have the presentation, and then the editing is basically me and the presentation next to me. That's it.
And the visuals are
are amazing.
Yeah.
Like they are able to generate images that kind of represent the idiom, which makes no sense. But when you look at an image that makes no sense, you remember like the elephant in the room, like those types of things. It just draws.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful. So Gamma app, amazing.
Gamma app, how is that different from ChatGPT?
Well, ChatGPT, you chat with it.
It's just that you
Gamma
talk.
generates presentations.
Okay.
So it's already...
First, I've not actually used that before.
Oh yeah, that one is amazing.
Okay.
Chat PDF. I don't know how much of research you do, but I do research at Stanford related to creator economy. And whenever I have to analyze a lot of research papers, it's always Chat PDF. I upload the research paper and I'm like, tell me the main idea, but also what questions can I ask this research paper? And it comes up with questions, so you get the main idea right away. Well, Perplexity is my favorite for research as well. I also built a bot for myself with a guy who's a developer.
It's like an AI version of you.
No, it's actually, it's a writer who helps me write. It's called Ghostwriter on Telegram. So there are two things you can do. Thing number one, you just send a voice and it creates a Telegram. I have a Telegram channel, which has like 70,000 people or 50. I have two. 50, I think 50 gauge. But anyways, and I will also send out emails and I have text posts on LinkedIn. So I need a lot of snackable texts, short texts.
Yeah.
And sometimes my thoughts are all over the place. But if I want to create a powerful text, it has to be in the moment. Because if I'm like, I have this great idea, let me write this down, and then I come back home in 2 days, I sit down, it's no longer, I don't have the energy.
So when you wake up from sleep and you have a dream, if you don't write down that dream.
You forget it.
Yeah.
Or like you're walking around and you see something, and I talk to my Ghostwriter app. I'm like, I tell her, him, whatever, AI, the text, my ideas. It creates a text, either in Russian or in English, whatever we need. That's feature number one. Feature number two that we just released, I read something like an email or I find an article and I want to share this article with my audience. So I just give the Ghostwriter a link and it creates a post based on that article.
God, that was so good.
I was like, I don't have to have copywriters anymore. And I also use it to communicate with my team. Like if I need to do instructions, because it's really good. The bot is really good at structuring everything.
Yeah.
So if I have certain points, like we fed the bot with so many texts that I liked, with so many structures. So it comes up with a title, comes up with a structure. So if I'm doing something with my team and like I want to give them instructions, I also use that bot. So that one too.
But one thing which I've noticed is really helpful is if I want to send a message to my team, it's much easier for me to just say it, record a voice note.
Yeah.
But for the team to digest it,
Yeah.
to listen to 1 or 2 minutes of me talking, like they take it in, but half of it will go out.
Exactly.
And then they'll forget and they have to listen to it again. So I always say to my team, I'm like, look, if you're giving me an update or you give me a report, please just write it because I need to see the main points and I can digest it quicker and I can everything is just clearer. So that's one thing which if I'm trying to make something easier for somebody else, I want to write it down.
Yeah.
But I know writing it down it takes longer
so much time
to do it.
Ghostwriter, try it.
So Ghostwriter is
Ghostwriter on Telegram.
okay.
Yeah.
And any other apps?
Well, ChatGPT can do that, but you have to train it. Like you have to create a separate GPT and just feed it with text that you like, with structures that you like.
What does that mean?
Like it has to learn. Do you know there is memory feature?
I know that it learns more about you based on the questions you ask it.
Yeah, and you can tell it, remember that anytime I'm giving instructions to my team, they have to be structured in this way. Like those types of things. Like you need to train it.
Yeah, because I feel like I don't think people realize how useful it can be.
Oh my God.
But you have to know how to use it.
You have to know.
You gotta ask it the right questions.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't give you what you wanted, you then have to kind of
Yeah. Some people are like, oh, write viral scripts for me. No, it's not going to work. You have to. So the way we do this with viral scripts, we copy comments under some of my most viral reels. And we're like, here are the comments under the reel. It got over 2 million views. Can you figure out what triggered people? Like, why are they commenting? What are they commenting about?
Yeah.
And once you figured out what triggered them, can you search on Reddit and other platforms what people are discussing in that niche, what is trending? Can you give me those topics? And it gives you the topics and you're like, okay, I like this and this. Okay, take these 2 topics, think of a hook, write a script. So it's a process.
Yeah. And are you doing a lot of this or you have a team who's also?
My team does it. I do it all the time. I like to play with things.
Yeah. I need to get onto that. I mean, where the hell is it going to be in 5 years' time? 10 years' time?
You know what?
Are you scared of it at all?
I'm not scared. It's like, my life, it's constantly like something happens every single year. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. Well, we'll just, we'll figure it out.
What do you mean, a problem?
Yeah. Like COVID, then, the world turbulence, etc. You're like, okay, we'll just go with the flow. And I feel like, so in 5 years, I think we're going to open a social media app and the algorithm will use AI to generate reels for us based on what we just talked about, based on personalities that we like. Because already, like when you open your TikTok, even reels, you're not getting reels from people you follow. You're just getting random reels that are performing well. And I feel like in 5 years, we just talked about whatever AI. I open my Instagram app and there is an AI generated character who talks about AI apps that I should use.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be that.
Yeah, I feel like there'll be something where you go onto the app and it will give you a summary of everything that you're interested in, whether it be like news headlines, positive news, reels which you're going to be interested in, what your like closest friends are doing. It's going to
be all AI generated.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like that's one of the things that might happen, but I don't even know.
Yeah, you just got to.
It's crazy. Like especially when you're in Silicon Valley, talking to people who are working on things, and then you go to like places where people don't really use AI. It's such a different. Like in Silicon Valley, sometimes I get a feeling like that's it, we're done. when I go outside Silicon Valley,
What do you mean
like,
you're going to be put out of?
oh yeah, like everyone's like, oh, in 3 years we're gonna pay $30,000 to have a robot at home. We're gonna pay a $250 subscription. They're gonna do your laundry, cooking, etc. It's like a done deal.
Yeah.
But then you go to like I don't know, to see my parents in Russia, and
Well, I think
no one's talking
I
about that.
saw. I don't know if this was today. Elon Musk announced that he's going to basically produce 1 million robots by 2027, and they'll be out and about doing
Well,
things.
he's always a little bit too optimistic with his forecasts.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be 2030, but maybe 2020. But it's coming.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to do a laundry.
Yeah.
So, which is
Yeah,
good
because
for a
I just
mom.
I keep thinking back to iRobot, you know, that film with Will Smith.
It was an old movie.
Yeah, it's an old
Yeah, yeah.
all the robots go crazy
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, start fighting humans.
San Francisco, driverless taxis everywhere. And now I look at it, I'm like, yeah, this is how it's supposed to be. Like, why would we have drivers if cars can drive by themselves?
Yeah.
And I'm no longer surprised, or I don't even care. Like 2 years ago when I rode the first taxi without a driver, I was freaking out. And I was like, yeah, of course. We get used to it so quickly. We don't even realize. Now we're talking, some people who are watching might be like, no, it's not going to happen. We're not going to let it happen. It's already happening.
Yeah.
And people are okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's done properly, I mean, it just means that a lot of jobs with humans don't really need to be
The thing
doing.
is, it's never done properly. That's the thing. I think when it's going to happen, like we're going to have a lot of protests. Like people are going to lose jobs. But
yeah,
hopefully, I think we need universal income for everyone. And then we're going to then introduce the robots.
because I always wondered how it would affect my industry in the fitness industry. Because I've asked ChatGPT to generate some programs. Like I was wondering, like how good can it be to help me to get in shape, build muscle mass, lose body fat? And it will give you a program, but it needs to know you a hell of a lot better. Like it needs to know, you know, what are the things that you struggle with. What's your exact body composition? What exercises do you like to do, and so on. I don't think it's at the stage yet where it could replace a personal trainer or a coach.
Yeah.
But once it gets to really understand you and understand the composition of your body, your genetics, what foods you should be eating, what you shouldn't be eating, things like that, how many calories you're burning on a day-to-day basis, it will get to the point where it says, right, today, based off the sleep that you had and food which you ate yesterday, this is what you should eat. And it will tell you not what, like, your brain thinks you need, like genuinely what your body actually needs, what your organs need. And I think it will be much easier to get in shape and be much healthier.
Yeah.
But at this point, like the program it gave me, I was like, well, this is wrong. This is wrong. This needs to be tweaked.
Yeah. For now, it's still like basic.
Yeah.
It's getting better.
How often do you spend mingling with people in Silicon Valley?
Well, maybe like, I don't know. I go to parties maybe once in 2 weeks.
So it's being there has helped you to improve your networking opportunities.
Yeah. The people they're brilliant people in Silicon Valley.
Do you recommend people go there? Like people who are looking to grow their online business or their business in tech, is it worth actually being there?
Number one place for tech, definitely. Not for online business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. We'll get back to the podcast in a second, but first of all, I want to say a massive shout out to Bionic. I have been using their supplements for the past 4 years. I never knew what supplements I needed to take. I'd always go into the pharmacy and buy a load of random bottles and end up popping pills all day, every day, not having a clue if I was consuming the vitamins which I should be consuming at all. But Bionic came to save the day. They are a tailor-made supplement company that will put together your own specific formula based on your activity, your gender. I have Bionic Pro, where I get the blood test done every 3 to 4 months, and based on that blood test, I get my own personalized formula. For those people who don't want to do a blood test or don't have access to that, then you can go with Bionic Go, where you just have to fill in a short questionnaire, and based on that questionnaire, you will get your tailored supplements with a surprisingly high degree of accuracy. So stop the guesswork, sign up to Bionic, and ensure that you remove those deficiencies and build up your immune system. So, with content creation, personal branding, for those people who are looking to do it, even people who, let's say, for example, I know quite a lot of people who they speak like 5 or 6 different languages. They could very easily, if they wanted to, start a channel helping people how to learn languages. What do you think are some of the biggest obstacles which stop them from doing it?
Now I feel like, first of all, it's very saturated already.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be very, you have to push through the first months when the algorithm will still try to figure out who you are, what you're talking about. I think, and like coming up with new topics. Because like, I don't know how you do your videos, but if I have an idea, I go online and I see it's already there.
Yeah.
So all I have to figure out is that, will my version of it get 1 million views?
Mm-hmm.
That's my barrier, because it's probably not gonna get 1 million views, but if I'm aiming for a higher goal, then maybe it gets like 500,000 views.
Yeah.
So it's always like, okay, is my version is gonna be better? Because 10 years ago was different.
Yeah.
Like you go online, there's no Russian girl talking about taking TOEFL. Perfect, I'm gonna be the first.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're constantly evaluating where the demand is. But when you have more data, it's actually easier to evaluate what people are looking for. But you have to be very specific about it, because people go online and they're like, oh, I'm just going to talk about my experience, but nobody really needs that. Or you present it in a way that people don't understand who you are and can't relate. So it's all about working with data now.
Yeah.
And being very intentional with every single video. This topic is in demand right now. The velocity per hour is my favorite metric. Like when I look at competitive videos, it doesn't matter if it has 10 million views if those views came 6 years ago, because the landscape has changed. So I'm looking at velocity per hour. Okay, it's getting 1,000 views per hour right now. Definitely there is demand. Why there is demand for this video? Is it because this person is talking about a very particular experience, or it's just a topic that people are looking for? So, and if it's the topic, what people are looking for, then I can make my own version of it. So you have to be very calculated, because making videos, the quality has to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's this new trend where, just take your phone and speak your heart out, of course, but even if some people do it, they still mess up lighting and sound. So you either go somewhere where it's bright and nice, and you speak in a clear way. So, the bar has raised.
I think because I look back at some of my older videos, and they popped off because I was one of the first few people who was doing that type of content. And if I tried to replicate it now, it just wouldn't hit like it used to hit. And I've noticed I had transitioned a little bit from, instead of having real intention of, okay, what is this video about? What's the title? What's the thumbnail going to be before I even do it? Now I just kind of go out and just make videos which I want to make, which I'll enjoy doing, which is satisfying. But then sometimes, I'll post it and it won't perform that well. But it's like, of course, because I've literally just tried to pull a video together from thin air, just doing something fun. So I think, I don't know if you
has to be a mix.
Yeah. Do you already have the title created before?
Yeah. Now, yes. I used to be like that. For my vlogging channel, it's still like this. Most of the time I just create content, and then I struggle for a few hours to create a compelling title.
Yeah.
So I try to no longer do that.
You don't want to clickbait people in either.
Yeah, because you don't want to clickbait, and also you don't want to post something that costs you still a few $100s to produce, because I have editors and the team, etc. And for it to not perform at all, or if I have a brand deal there, I don't want to look bad in front of my advertisers. So now, yes, we think about the title before I shoot content.
Do you think that there tends to be fewer females consuming content on platforms such as YouTube?
YouTube, 100%. Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Females are on Instagram. Visual, beautiful content, babies, outfits. That's Instagram.
Yeah, because even with my of course, a lot of the content which I make it's more for men, or men would be more interested in watching the gym videos and the lifestyle stuff. So I think I look at my demographics, and 90% of the viewers on YouTube are men. I think it's 91%. So it's not bad, because I have a clothing company, I have a fitness app, those sorts of things. catered for men, so that's ideal. The last thing I want is to try and sell male clothing to a female audience. It's not going to work. But I always think there's still a gap for female creators on YouTube. But I feel like many of them are put off from doing it. Do you feel like that's a thing?
So I feel like YouTube was primarily driven and is still driven by content created by people like Mr. Beast, which are like boys having fun. And this is what defined the platform, versus Instagram, where it's all about aesthetics. So I feel like Instagram has been more female oriented from the start as a platform. YouTube was more like boys oriented. But I still, my demographics are like 50-50.
Okay.
I still get girls. But yeah, especially when I want to learn about finance, it's never a female creator. It's always a male creator. Finance, business, that niche, it's very hard to find a female. I'm always looking for someone who I could relate to, someone who has kids, and like a mother with a newborn or whatever doing business. Really hard to find someone like that on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are you able to juggle everything with having kids and doing all of this?
It's hard. We have a live-in nanny.
Yeah.
They go to, one of my kids goes to daycare, another goes to school now. So it's easier, but still a lot of driving around.
And do you feel as though there's a particular skill that you still want to learn that's going to help you progress with your career with entrepreneurship and...
Great question. Yeah, acting.
You want to be an actor?
Yeah, I'd love to explore that part of me.
Why?
I've always dreamed of it. It's like, it was always a dream. And I played at a theater when I was a kid, and I performed a lot on stage. I sang, I danced. But then I kind of started being an entrepreneur, and YouTube was kind of representing my creative part, but I wanted to be even more creative. So next year, I've already started singing again.
You can sing?
Yeah.
Is there anything you can't do?
No, well, I'm not a professional singer, but it's something I like doing. And then I want to start acting as well.
Which language do you sing in?
Ideally, I would love to just sing in Russian, but it's not going to sell. If I want to build an international audience, I have to do English as well.
Would you think, is the success of your ventures at the moment still very dependent upon you creating content? Like, if you were to step away from doing, a large chunk of the content which you're creating at the moment, would that negatively affect your businesses, or has it got to the point where they kind of run themselves now?
The LinguaTrip, probably not at all, because we've built a separate marketing channels, multiple channels. So LinguaTrip should be fine if I stop creating content. I'm still feeding leads through my Marina channel, but it's not the primary source. But Silicon Valley Girl is a business itself. If I stop posting, there are no brand deals.
Yeah.
We have a Airbnb in Hawaii, which is performing by itself, so that one should be fine.
Yeah.
What else? Well, investments, they're fine without me. I'm starting another company next year, Healthy Snacks for Kids. That will be somehow dependent on my content, but not primarily. Yeah, well, still dependent.
Yeah, that's still one thing. I mean, especially in America, the healthcare system there, and just the foods which they sell in the supermarket, it's so drastically different from what they would sell in Europe. The ingredients,
even school lunches. Oh my God!
I saw a reel where they were comparing a Fanta in Europe compared to one in America. One of them is orange. The other one's like some crazy fluorescent bright shade of orange. It's got 70 grams of sugar in it in a bottle, and then all these other weird ingredients. Yeah. So that seriously needs to change.
Yeah, I think 20% of American school kids graduate with pre-diabetes.
Yeah.
And when I learned that, I moved to a different country for a better future of my kids. But now, there is a 20% chance they're gonna be pre-diabetic. I'm like, no. First of all, I'm educating my kids, but also what can I do to kind of change the system. There is a lot of change coming, hopefully, with the new administration, because they have some people who are advocating for healthier food. And, you know, one of my friends, she launched a similar brand in a different country, and she has her own factory, and she really wanted to start something in the US. And we decided to join forces and do this in the US. But it's basically, we're going to start with donuts for kids that have no sugar, no palm oil, no gluten. It's going to be like almond flour, monk fruit. So super, because kids still crave sugar.
If you give them an apple, they'll be like, no thanks.
Yeah. And if you give them even like a date, they're like, it doesn't look good. I want something, because they've been marketed those blue and pink and bright candy, and they expect a lot of flavor. Like, I was testing our first samples, they were really mild in flavor. And kids were like, and they want something blue with pink sprinkles and a lot of flavor. That's the American taste palette right now. It's bad. But, you know, I don't want my kids to just, you know, eat those, drink Fanta, or if you look at all the candy has the artificial dyes. I want them to have a healthier option.
How does it work with the school lunches there? Like, are they provided by the school, or do you give?
So school lunches are provided by the school, and like, I can show you photos. It's like the word, like pizza that is already clogged, that was heated up in plastic. So it's frozen, then heated up in flat plastic, served to your kid in plastic. And there is this chocolate milk that has 18 grams of sugar. This like packet, and they get it for breakfast and for lunch. And I asked the teachers if it's possible to not give anything to Emily, because I'm giving her the lunchbox every single day. We cook meals at home. And they're like, no, we can't force kids not to eat. This is a state-sponsored program. So what I do, I try to volunteer at school as much as I can, taking my work. So I come to the school, I distribute lunches, but I make sure my daughter eats the lunchbox. There are some moms that are doing the same. Because it's just like, my daughter developed dermatitis. No one in the family had it. I guess it's the food, right? Like, it's still like, we still have to figure out, but I already see the consequences, and it's so, so bad. I'm so frustrated. And then I came on one day and I was volunteering, and they were giving out those blue pops. It was raining, it was freezing. Like, we have cold days in California. So it was raining, the wind was blowing, they had their meal outside, and after the cloggy pizza, they got the blue popsicle full of sugar.
So nutritious.
Oh my goodness. Like, why would you do this to your future generation? Why? I understand, like, getting subsidized by big companies, etc., this business with someone, but like, why would you do this to your kids?
And then you got to deal with their highly volatile spikes in energy and the crashes, them running around.
And
like
then your kids have ADHD, and there you go, there's a pill. Of course, if you give them 40 grams of sugar for breakfast and then you make them sit for 3 hours, of course they're going to behave as if they have ADHD.
I remember when I was younger, I didn't know anything about nutrition. I don't think my parents did. I would have this big bowl of cereal, combination of 3 different brands of cereal, all full of sugar. Then I'd have 2 or 3 Scotch pancakes with butter, and it was delicious. And then I remember I would go to school. This would probably be like half an hour, 45 minutes after I've eaten, and then I'm required to pay attention to this teacher who's teaching me mathematics after I've just eaten that breakfast, and I'm there like trying to stay awake.
You're only crushing.
Yeah,
I know.
So at least now, when I have kids, I'll be very aware and mindful of what it is that they're consuming.
So hard. You can't imagine. Like, we went to breakfast this morning in the hotel, and my 5-year-old knows what a healthy breakfast is. It starts with green salad, like cucumber, whatever. Like, try to get some veggies. Then it's protein. She eats 2 egg whites, and then you can have your cereal or whatever. But then she comes to this room, and it starts with pink donuts and Fruit Loops and like all the juices. How she started crying.
You can't let a kid go loose.
She had a breakdown when I told her you need to start with a cucumber. Like, it's so hard for them. They're kids. They can make decisions for themselves. And you don't want to be an angry mom who's forcing you to switch Fruit Loops with eggs.
I think there's definitely potential for a business like that to work out.
I'm hoping, because now when they're asking for some sugar,
Yeah.
can I show you?
Yeah.
But they're in Russian now.
Yeah.
I just got some samples. I always have some with me for my kids, because when they're like, "Oh, mommy, I want another chocolate, I want an ice cream." So this is what it looks like. It's a banana donut, no sugar.
Koala bear.
It still looks very compelling to a kid.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have sprinkles on top, even more compelling.
Uh-huh.
But they can have their dessert if we're walking around, not have the sugar spike, not go crazy with all the sugar, and then have a meltdown.
Because even for me, with my nutrition programming, there's always this sweet tooth that needs satisfying. And there's very few things which are available that you can just get quickly and grab. And it'd be healthy for you and also kind of kill that sweet craving which you have.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, for those people who are also looking to start a business, what are the key steps which you have taken to kind of plan this out and to get this up and running?
So first of all, be very frustrated with a problem. Like, I'm so frustrated. Like, I'm freaking out every time I see the lunches. I'm freaking out every time somebody gives my kids bad candy. Like, because I see the health consequences already. And I know it's me who's responsible for it because I put them in the culture that's like that. Because in my school, well, we had chocolate, but our lunch was like sausages, smashed potatoes, some soup. They never served us pizza in plastic. Anyways, so I'm super frustrated about the problem.
So you identify a problem, but then you also have to be genuinely passionate about
Yeah,
the
because
problem.
I'm looking, no one cares about it. I'm like, okay, then I have no nutrition background, I have no background at all, but I know it's bad.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to find people who have the necessary background to solve it. So I started posting about that problem. I knew I wanted to do something, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And then this, she's not a friend, but I knew her from 13 years ago. We were on a fam trip in Canada with a study abroad thing. And she had the same problem. She wanted to get pregnant, but she couldn't. She had to be on keto diet. She was in Canada back then, and she couldn't find any keto products. So she developed her own. And then she launched this whole business in Russia with 180 SKUs to solve the problem of keto snacks.
180
SKUs, like different products.
Okay, yeah.
And she has her own factory, etc. And she reached out. She's like, I really want to start something in the US, and I see you're passionate about a problem.
Okay.
Let's do something. And she sent me samples. I'm like, yes.
So that's you've found somebody who has the knowledge and the experience.
Exactly.
Because for you and obviously what you've been doing, getting into the food industry
it's completely different.
Yeah.
Yes, it's nothing to do with my experience, but because I'm so frustrated, this is where the energy comes from. And so have a good co-founder, and then just do the grind. And another thing that I was able to get from this, somebody reached out who's a professional lobbyist, and she just lobbied a law in California that stopped artificial dyes in school lunches, at least something. So in 2 years, you won't be able to get the Fruit Loops or whatever that has the red 40, all the dyes at schools, at least.
Yeah.
And so we're working on something for the lunch program. Like, find people who are also passionate but have a different skill set.
Yeah.
And
what about if you could co-found a business from scratch? Or I guess there could be another potential option where a company already exists that is doing something similar, but isn't at the stage where it's that big. You could potentially invest and get equity in this existing business.
Yeah, it just depends on how involved you want to be. That's it. My goal is to be a co-founder in several businesses. With this business, I want to be hands-on.
So you want to be
you want
to be involved in this.
Yeah, because I want to give this to my kids every single day. I want to make sure I know every single ingredient, because I'm going to be feeding this to my kids every single day. It's a very high bar of responsibility. So, I want to control everything. I guess if you're like a minor investor, at some stage, if it's grown and people want to prioritize profits versus like quality.
Yeah. Have you invested in other companies?
Yeah.
a few?
A lot. I've invested, one of my favorite investments is called Navier. It's a boat, a flying boat.
Navia.
Yeah, Google it. It's a really cool boat that raises above the water. So when you go and it's
How do you spell that? Navia.
Naveier.
Okay. That looks cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So
That's like
public transportation on the water.
for those people who cannot see this podcast. If you picture, those gliding surfboards, this is basically what it looks like: a boat gliding above the water on these.
So it's very, very smooth, especially, so it's for the Bay Area and some other locations in the world, but Bay Area, the Bay is really wavy. And if you go in the Bay, so here you just
like you're driving in a Rolls Royce, smooth.
Yeah. And Sampriti is a great founder.
That's cool. I've never seen this before. This is very interesting.
Yeah.
But where are these boats primarily located at the moment?
So right now, I think they just started, well, mass production, but I think they're producing like 20 boats in a year.
Okay.
So they're producing in Turkey. They're located in the Bay Area. The boats are in the Bay Area. They're actually helping Stripe workers go to the office because Stripe's office is South San Francisco and some workers live in Belvedere, which is like 1 hour, 30 minutes driving or 20 minutes on a boat.
Yeah.
Just use the Bay. So she wants to make water
hydrofoiling electric boat.
Yeah.
Which I imagine would be amazing for people who get seasick.
Yeah. And even like, I don't think, like I'm looking at the Bay right now, I don't think people really use it. But if you could get a taxi from here to Blue Waters.
Yeah. There's
that
one
would
guy,
be awesome.
looks like there's
so
one
much
guy
faster.
on a foil board over there.
Yeah. It's going to be so much faster if we really use water as roads.
Yeah. And if obviously electric, minimal pollution.
Yeah.
That's cool. What else have you got involved in?
I invested in healthy popcorn called Geelish together with Gary Vaynerchuk and Mona Vand. It's popcorn that only has 3 ingredients: corn, organic corn, ghee butter, and salt.
Where did the name come from?
Ghee butter?
Ghee.
Geelish,
Okay.
like GHEELISH.
Yeah. I love popcorn.
Me too. But
there is another brand that do it quite well, which I'm not going to say.
Yeah. No, there are other brands, of course, but this was an opportunity, and I feel like we're understanding. Like, well, when I say we, it's probably less than 1% of people, really. And it's just I'm surrounded with people who are very conscious about what they're eating.
Yeah.
And when I talk to some people outside my crowd, they're like, curious.
It's the first thing I do whenever I look at the ingredient list. I'm like, okay, so how many ingredients are in this?
Yeah, and if it's like this,
yeah,
and you're like seeing all the E and numbers, you're like, I don't want to eat it every day. Maybe like once in 2 weeks, fine. But if I want something every day, like my daughter likes popcorn in her lunchbox, it makes it more convincing. And if I have popcorn in the lunchbox, she might skip the school lunch. Yeah. So I want popcorn in the lunchbox, but I want good popcorn.
So how, with these investments, how have they come about? Is it your social media presence and your obviously choice of being located in Silicon Valley helped you to meet people who have these businesses? They see your audience. Is it their audience that they that appeals to them, or just your knowledge overall and your ideas?
My audience.
Oh, really?
Because I'm competing with people like, not competing, but they're investors. So like, I think Mark Benioff is an investor. I'm not sure in Navier, like he's the founder of Salesforce. I'm competing with those types of people, and the cap tables are normally really tight for those hot startups. So the only way for me to get there is to say like, hey, I have this audience. I'm happy to promote
Hey,
you.
look, I have a combined audience of like 17 million.
Yeah, please let me, like small check, please. So I get to say that I'm an investor. Yeah, Geelish, I just wanted to try them, and I followed them on Instagram, and they reached out and they're like, can we send you some popcorn? I tried it. I'm like, yes, especially because I'm getting into this healthy food industry. I want to be as connected as possible.
Yeah. I went to, it was like a health wellness optimization biohacking summit in London this summer. And there were some really cool stands there. And one thing which I struggle with being a gym guy is just hitting my protein intake. So
I think
not,
everyone is struggling.
Yeah, you don't accidentally hit your protein intake, particularly if your goal is to build muscle mass. And for someone like me, I'm 95 kilograms, so I mean, at least 180 grams of protein is what.
180.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's what I mean, really, that's the minimum. Of course,
Is 100 good for me? Because I'm striving for 100 grams.
I think if you're active, you go into the gym and you want to, look good, about around 1.7 grams per kilogram is good.
Yeah, that's all right.
Benchmark, like that's enough. For people who maybe if they're on a calorie deficit, or they're leaner, or maybe they're older, then that requirement might be a little bit more. Maybe it needs to go up to 2. I mean, I'd rather need more and not use it than be in a situation where I don't have it but I need it. So I don't mind eating a little bit more. But when I'm here, when I'm home, everything's easy, everything's planned. I get all the food delivered to me. So hitting those targets is never a problem. As long as I eat like 4 times a day, it's enough. It's harder, if I eat twice a day, I'm trying to cram in I'm not going to eat 100 grams of protein per meal. So at home it's fine, but when I'm on the move and when I travel, it's a problem because maybe my availability to actually eat is just not there, or the access to good food certainly is not going to be there. So I would like to take things with me that I can just quickly eat, in between the meals. But I'm not a big fan of protein shakes. Yeah. Because if you look at the majority of protein shakes,
they land so heavy.
Oh, I mean, first of all, it's one of those things, you look at the ingredients, full of garbage, particularly the ones that are already in the drinks cabinets, that have been on the shelf for a while. Yeah. At least with the powders, they have less ingredients in them, and it's kind of more just literally protein isolate and some flavorings. But even then, I can just tell it doesn't. I don't feel good.
Doesn't make you feel good. Yeah.
I feel bloated, lethargic, and my whole approach with nutrition is to consume foods in their natural state that have undergone minimal processing, that are nutrient dense, and protein powders don't really fit into that.
I think for protein it has to be chicken or
yeah. So there was this one company which is pretty cool where it was packaged jerky. So it was a bar of jerky which had 20 grams of protein in it, which is pretty good, and it's literally just dried meat. But the problem was, and is usually the case when it comes to jerky, is either the flavor or the texture just doesn't quite satisfy you. And this one, it was so dry. It was so the macros and the ingredients were great, but it was just so dry. And I'm like, I can stomach it because I'll just suck it up and eat it. I look at food, if it's good for me, I'll eat it. But to try and really sell this to the masses, they're not gonna.
It's so hard, this balance between I want to make this healthy, but I also want to make it commercially successful. Yeah. You're always balancing.
Yeah. So something like that is something I would love to get into. Healthy food, but a high protein healthy snack that is genuinely healthy and is comprised of real ingredients. I think even they do these bars which are primarily put together of insects.
Oh, I've heard of that. I've never tried.
Because insects have a lot of protein.
High protein,
in them.
Yeah.
And you combine that with some natural flavorings and
have you
dried
tried?
Fruit. Yeah.
Good.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's just the more you think about it, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
You're I'm literally eating I don't think they do cockroaches, but grasshoppers or something.
Wow.
And it's that's going to be hard.
But people
to
have
push.
been eating that in Asia. In Thailand, where my parents live, you can buy them anywhere.
Yeah.
Any intersection, they have a small vendor with insects.
Yeah.
And my dad tried them and he said they're like chips.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So I think it's I don't know if I would be successful because there's too many people that would just couldn't process the fact that they're eating insects, and they'd be put off by it. Yeah. But it's funny because I see this has been so noticeable over the past 5 years or more, is that if these big food corporations and companies just slap high protein on the package, people automatically think, oh, well, it's going to be healthy because it's got high protein. But all they've done is just put, it's literally the same, comprised of the same things as a chocolate bar, but they've just injected a lot of fake protein into it
Yeah.
to make it sound healthy. And the protein bar industry has become, I mean, it's a massive business. People love the ideas of eating protein bars, but nothing will make me feel worse than having a protein bar.
Me too. Oh my God. Same here.
If I have one or two, like I literally won't stop farting. It's like, it's so bad.
For me, I will feel like I ate a protein bar maybe a couple of weeks ago because I was on the go and I was so hungry and I just bought something and I ate it. And then I felt kind of sick for a week. I was like remembering this protein bar and it made me like so sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like those.
So, I mean, even when I'm creating diet plans or giving guidance on nutrition, I'm just like, don't have the protein bars.
Well, in the ideal world, you just eat minimally processed food that you cook at home. You know the source. We order everything from a farm when we're at home. But the reality is it's really hard to just do that 3 times a day for all family members. So there are snacks from time to time. But if there are snacks, they have to be...
Well, that's one of the reasons why I no longer work with a supplement company, apart from Bionic, because they just do the micronutrients, the vitamins. But yeah, I was making good money from working with these supplement companies, pushing protein powders and things like that, pre-workouts, basically everything that was just garbage. And I said, I can't keep doing this. So I had to walk away from what was like quite a lucrative income stream, just because I didn't believe in the products. So I think for sure, as I mentioned, there's something revolving around healthy snacks that are easy, convenient, and nutritious is something I'd like to get into.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one of the things that I'm doing at the moment is obviously growing my platform, my audience, because when you have a bigger audience, you can just, there's so many doors that get opened and
people reach out.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is exactly what I was looking for. Yeah.
Is there anything else apart from that you would love to do? Because obviously you want to do the acting, you want to get into this.
Yeah. I think that's it for 2025, really.
Yeah.
I want a 3rd kid, but I don't know how to fit it in. I don't know. Yeah, that was possible.
Have you got, are there 2 girls, 1 boy, 1 girl?
3. Yeah, 2 girls.
Okay. So you want a boy?
I want a girl. I want 3 girls.
Really?
That's my goal.
My husband has a different
plan.
With that?
No, he's like, we need a boy. Yeah, I don't know.
So what have you got planned whilst you're in Dubai? Whilst you're here?
I'm speaking at a conference. I have 4 different things that I'm doing. I have like a talk on AI, like AI tools. I am moderating a panel. I'm on a panel and I'm roasting people's Instagrams.
Okay.
That's for the next 3 days. Then I'm doing another...
What do you mean you're roasting people's, like you're making fun of people?
No, like, I mean, I'm giving them advice, but I'm also like roasting them.
Oh, if they're giving bad advice?
No, so they're going to give me their Instagrams and I'll be like, oh, this is bad, you need to do this and that. Like giving advice, basically. And also like spending time with my family because my parents came from Thailand. I'm here with my kids and we're going to be all together just exploring Dubai, doing fun stuff after the conference.
Nice. Do you have a book?
I do, but it's in Russian. I have 2 books in Russian.
Yeah.
I'm working
just
on another one. It's going to take a while.
To the list.
Yeah, I'm working on another one, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like from speaking to you, like everything you've got going on, I think you only managed to do it because you have such a good team in place.
Yeah, it's all about the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for anyone listening, so anyone who's trying to get this much done, getting the right team in place is essential.
Yeah.
I mean, even for me, when I started off with my content creation journey, I was trying to do everything myself.
No, it's impossible.
And it was quite cool to learn the basics of how to edit. And because I was watching myself back so often and be like, oh, I don't like the way I do this. I don't like the way I do that.
Yeah, it's good for training. Like you start with that, definitely. I've edited everything with iMovie myself on my phone. First half a year. But then I realized, 6 hours of video and I have a business that I have to run. It's impossible.
Who are some individuals in the business world or entrepreneurs that you really admire and look up to?
Great question. Well, Elon Musk,
Yeah.
Of course. The way he does bold things and the way he doesn't care about other people's opinion and how bold he is with his tweets or X's, whatever. Yeah, like anyone who's doing change and doing things in an uncommon way, is trying to change the system. I admire people's boldness because I'm not bold enough myself. I'm always trying to be more cautious, more careful, think about plan B, plan C. And people who go all in, they get all my admiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for people who just do not care.
Yeah.
Or those people who are just brutally honest. Like they're not afraid to
Oh,
offend
yeah.
people.
Like, oh my God, Brian Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Such a sweetheart, but also how he talks about McDonald's and like crumble cookies, like his recent reels. I got somebody had to tell. Thank you so much, Brian, for.
Yeah.
And people in the comments are like, what?
They're like, oh, this is. They thought it was like a sponsored post. Like it was actually advertising that company.
Yeah, I remember.
Did you see the documentary? It's just
Not yet. Because I was traveling. It's already downloaded.
Yeah.
I really want to see it. I think he's brilliant in what he's doing, and I also admire the broadness of his vision. Like he wants to create this don't die index and give this index to every single meal in the world. Like you go to McDonald's where you get your school lunch, and that takes away 3 hours of your life.
Yeah.
So we're feeding death to our kids.
Yeah.
Brilliant idea.
And it's good that he's just been a guinea pig for all of this. Like he's doing some potentially.
And he's also taking all the blame. Like people are laughing at him. Like, thank you so much, Brian.
Yeah. He's one of the guys who I want to link up with when I go to America, just to see.
I think he's really relatively easy to reach out to.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does dinners that you could sign up for.
Are you implementing any of these biohacking?
So
tricks?
I like the diet to reduce glucose spikes. I have some of his products. I don't think his product line is like top, but whatever he says is great. Like exercise, Mediterranean diet. The way he looks, like the way he stands, very straight. I'm learning that.
Yeah.
Someone's like this. Yeah, and exercising, dealing with jet lag. I travel all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your eating routine or diet like in order for you to kind of function at your best?
Yeah, so every meal starts with green salad or some kind of salad. And then protein. And also, like, as I mentioned, we order everything from farms. I know where my fish is coming from. I know where my meat is coming from. We're trying to eat minimally. Like, if you get beef, it can be fed with like a natural. We're trying to get grass fed, but also if you get bison, that's the best.
Yeah.
We try to eat rabbits and turkey, like the diverse source of protein for the whole family. Rabbits, turkey, chicken livers, chicken hearts, all of the things. Beef tongues.
Yeah, organ meat is something I need to eat more of because there is certain deficiencies which I had from doing my blood test.
Yeah, livers are great.
Because I'm not. I eat a diverse diet, but it's not as diverse as it could be. And there's no organ meat in there. And it's actually, unless you're buying it, like it's not really an easy thing to get.
Yeah, I come from a culture where, like, if you go to Russia, you'll find chicken hearts everywhere.
Yeah.
And I grew up eating chicken livers and hearts. So, but now you can order it. Like, if there's a farm in the US that I order from.
And then you have somebody helping you to prepare everything.
Our nanny cooks, yeah.
Yeah. That's the dream. I sometimes wonder if I should have an in-house chef.
You should. It's so easy in Dubai. Like when I talk to my friends, they're like, oh, we pay and they say like a fraction of a cost that we pay in the US. And they come to our house every day and cook.
Yeah.
Dream.
It really is. And when it comes to exercise, nutrition, training, if you can just make it as convenient as possible, the likelihood of you sticking to it is going to be much higher. And then just eliminate all the junk or the crap. I imagine in your household, you don't have a naughty snack cupboard.
With like when my parents come over and they bring all the Asian snacks, I have to hide them. But no, of course,
do they have the dried strawberry covered in white chocolate?
Yeah.
That's the best.
I know all this sticks. Like they bring all these snacks to our kids, and of course, I'm not a crazy mom who will say like, "No, you're not gonna eat anything." Of course, they get it, but like minimally.
Yeah.
After a meal. Yeah.
Amazing. So, best of luck with your talk tomorrow.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're going to blow everyone away. And if people want to find out more about you, where can they find you? I mean, which channel or platform?
Lingua Marina on Instagram.
Yeah, that's your main one.
Yeah.
And then the YouTube channels as well.
Yeah.
I mean, all they have to do is just type in your name and you'll
Yeah,
be there.
I would just say Lingua Marina on Instagram. That's where I post a lot about my business, AI tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks very much and best of luck with everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.